friends. Hope you're doing well. So, I am back today with another Ice Rink story. Side note, I was watching a video and I was holding a pen in the video. I like it when I hold a pen. I feel more official. I think a black pen works better. I like these pens. They're like a four-way. It's a, what is it? It's a Papermate Ink Joy Quattro. It's got four different colors. But the black pen, that's the one you want to hold. Looks real official. I'm a big dumb idiot. So, Ice Rink Stories. Today, I want to tell you about one of the more disgusting things that happened at the ice rink. Over the years, a lot of times there would be blood on the ice. That would happen. And that really wasn't that big of a deal because I think, and don't quote me on here because I'm obviously not a doctor or any kind of trained medical professional, but once the blood is out and it's exposed to the air, like the risk of like HIV or any kind of bloodborne viruses is very low. And then of course as it hits the ice it freezes, within a minute or less, within seconds it's frozen. So I'm like 99% sure like it's pretty safe. We would still go. We'd have like a scraper. It was just a flat edge on like like a shovel, but like all it was just a really sharp flat edge, and we just scrape it off, shovel it into a trash can, and then dump it into the pit is what we called it. It was the snow pit. So when you run a Zamboni, the Zamboni has a blade on it and pulls up a top layer of ice, then puts a layer down below it, and then it dumps all that snow into a big pit. And so that's the snow pit. So that's what we would do if blood got on the ice. Now, from time to time, people would throw up, either from, just because it was a lot of children were there, or people were just, skating way too hard, and playing hockey and stuff, or they were just sick. A lot of the hockey players are very tough, and they just go, oh, they're sick. Well, I have a hockey game. I'm still going. So from time to time, I would also have to clean that up, which really wasn't that bad. I got, like, the first time you do it, you're just like, and then, like, a couple, like, every now and then, you would, like, gag a little bit or dry heave as, like, you first do it, but you get over it after you do it a couple times. You're just like, whatever. And it was always better if people puked. If you were ever at an ice rink and you feel like you have to puke, please puke on the ice. It's way easier for me to clean up than it was to, like, if you puke on the bench, that's the worst, because the bench had, like, weird tile that, like, was warped from, like, just being wet all the time, and, like, the puke would, like, get under it and, like, in these weird nooks and crannies, and it just was not a good time. Because then you'd be on your hands and knees with like paper towels and like the puke stuff and like the sawdust or whatever you were using. If you puked outside the rink, like just outside the rink, that was easier because the floor was like more fixed. So you just, I would just have to scoop up the big chunks and then run. We had a floor cleaner. It was like a floor Zamboni. You could just drive it and it would just scoop up and brush, and it was great. It was easy. If you ever at a grocery store late at night, you might have seen some of these floor Zambonis. We didn't have that. We didn't always have that, though. In the first couple years, you had to just get a mop and just deal with it, and that sucked. But so it goes. But the worst, most gross thing I ever had to pick up at the ice rink, and this was one time, so we had this, side note, we also had this janitor, and he was very old, and he went and had heart surgery, and so, like, they needed someone to fill in for the janitor duties for, like, a week or two or whatever, because he's a tough old guy. He came back to work, like, instantly, and so I was like, yeah, I'll do it, whatever, like, not a big deal, because no one else wanted to do it, and I was just like, I don't care, whatever, let's do it. And, like, his job was, like, pretty chill. It was just, like, vacuuming and, like, cleaning the bathrooms. And I'm like, okay. The bathrooms were pretty gross, There's a lot of people just taking, AFD your shit together. Your bathrooms are disgusting, okay? That's been my experience at any job I've worked where I had to clean the bathrooms. The women's bathroom is universally, maybe this is a Nebraska thing, and all the Nebraska ladies are just disgusting, but the bathrooms were always worse in the women's. So, and I'm not even saying that from like a ew tampons. It's just like you would think the men would miss the toilet more, but the women, obviously they're hovering or something. We're getting into bodily fluids. It's disgusting, I know. But it's not even the feminine hygiene products. That stuff. So, I didn't really have to deal with that stuff. It was very well taken care of in the disposals or whatever. That's how that stuff's handled. But the grossest thing that I ever had to pick up, I was working one day, me and this new kid, and we were working, and it was drop-in hockey. And drop-in hockey is where anybody can come show up. You pay your money, you get to go on the ice with, as long as you wear your helmet, you can have a stick out there and you could just dick around with some pucks and stuff and have fun with your friends. So, these two young kids come up and they're like, you tell them, like, no, you tell them, like, you go. So this kid, like, meagerly, like, shyly walks up. He's like 13, and he's like, okay, we don't want you to think that we did this, but somebody took a shit in the shower, and then they both sprinted out of the rink. And I was just like, wait, what? And they're just like, sorry, as they ran out. And I was like, okay, fuck. So me and this new kid, we go, and I'm like the manager at this point. And so I get the gloves on, and we walk in and into the locker room that was in. And there in the bathroom, in the shower, is this brown pile with a sock shoved into it. And so I'm like, that's not poop, like that looks like mud, dude. And so I go over, a gloved hand, mind you, and I touch it, I'm just like, because I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is a sock, And I was like, what the hell? And I'm like, dude, this is just mud or something. Which I'm like, and now thinking, like, what a big idiot I was. Like, how would that have been mud? Like, where? It's a clump, And as I pulled, I was like, it's just mud. The smell hit my nose, and I gagged and then puked. So I was like, all right, man, like, you're new. Like, you've been here like a week. Like, you go back up front. I'll take care of this. And then I doubled down on the bad mistake. I was like, well, at least it's in the shower. So you turn the shower on to, like, aim the nozzle at it, And it's like, I'll just go down the drain. But I didn't put two and two together, and that if I turned on the water to hot, it would kick the smell back up, because it had been sitting there for who knows how long, because it was cold, And so I kicked the smell back up, and then it was a bit of dry heaving, and then I went up front and got a dust mask that we used to use when we would sharpen a lot of skates, because when you're sharpening skates, the iron filings are going places, which most people didn't wear the dust mask. You were supposed to wear it. It wasn't a big deal, but if you're sharpening a lot, if you're doing a couple pairs in a row, like, you're like, okay, maybe it's time to put a mask on for this, especially if you were like sharpening the rental skates, which in that point you're just sharpening skate. That's like a run out the clock situation where you could just sharpen skates all day and never be done. So I got that to kind of like keep the smells in, and then I cleaned up my own puke and some random person's poop in a shower in a locker room, and it was surprisingly not the worst day of work I ever had. So there you go. It's up there. It's definitely one of the top 10 worst days of ice rink time. Second, second, I wouldn't say second only. That's like in the top 10, but definitely not the worst. But here's a fun. So I have a story about the time I pooped my pants at an amusement park, which I think I'm gonna save that for like a 2,000 subscriber special. But I will give you The other time I pooped my pants, which was at the ice rink, so here's a little bonus story for you. I was feeling pretty sick, but I was always like one of the tough troopers, like, yeah, you're a little sick, like whatever, you gotta go to work. There's not enough people, like there's really no one to cover the shift. So I went and I was taking out the trash, and I went to like throw it up in the dumpster, and as I was doing that I sneezed, and it was just liquid came out the backside, and yeah, I had liquefied my pants, and so I called the other guy working, and I'm like, I gotta go home, and he's like, what, why? And I was like, I just shit my pants. And he knew I was like not feeling great, and he was just like, Jesus Christ, alright, like, you got like 30 minutes until the Zamboni has to run again, so like, get on it. And so I ran home, changed my pants, came back to work. That, surprisingly, that day was not even top 10 worst days at the ice rink. So, little bonus story, little teaser for you. But yeah, the pooping your pants at an amusement park, that is definitely a story for the ages. So, get me to 2,000 subscribers and I'll tell you about it. Otherwise, yeah, there's your ice rink stories for the day. So hopefully your day is better than those days. I hope you're doing well, and you know, if not, I hope that turns around for you. So, like always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.